Hey, fight fans, welcome back to Carlo Prusa MMA. Today, we got a fun one for you. We got top lightweight mixed martial art prospect. He is the 8-1 Mr. Robbie RIng. Robbie, what's going on, man? How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I'm glad to be on your show today and glad that you were able to have me.
Absolutely, man. A guy that I've been watching for a little bit now. You're known as one of the top prospects. We've seen you on the Contender Series before, but one thing that I think is so cool is, your family is really a mixed martial arts family. I mean, you guys own a gym, Ring Combat Sports. What was it like to be around this world since birth, since you were young?
Yeah, it's truly all I've ever known. Was being at the gym, watching my mom and dad teach classes and stuff. Started out myself doing traditional karate, and then ended up working my way into doing some jujitsu and then MMA at a young age. I love it. My parents never really did force me to do this. It's just, I guess it's like, you grow up being around it every single day that it's bound to, you're around something, you're going to take part in it. And that's kind of what I did. I was always around it. And then I just started, falling in love with it.
I really think that you're one of part of this new wave of mixed martial artists. I mean, when you look at mixed martial artists from now to the last 10 to 15 years, the skill level has improved. I mean, you're seeing guys now 24, 25 years old making it into the UFC, and not just making the UFC, but dominating in the UFC.
Mhm.
Guys are so much well-rounded now. And I think, 15, 20 years ago, this was called human cockfighting. It wasn't legal at every single state. Now, obviously, 7 years old, kids are doing jiu-jitsu. They're watching fights. They're talking about it at the dinner table. It's so culturally accepted. Do you think this is one of the effects and one of the reasons why the level of skill has increased so greatly over the last 10 to 15 years?
Oh yeah, for sure. And then, we're also constantly learning from kind of mistakes from the people who's fought before us. It's just like football. The game of football has evolved so much since, even the 90s. If you look at the difference between the athletes now, it's just different. It's just we're constantly evolving, and things that my even my parents being my coaches, they can tell me you don't want to do this. I did this whenever I was fighting, and it got me caught. So the game's just constantly improving.
One thing when you look at your record, you had a lot of amateur contests between amateur and then exhibition bouts when you were under 18 years old. You took your time to turn pro. Was that something that was just all about trying to get as well rounded as possible?
Yeah, for sure. My dad, he's always been a big believer in you want to learn as much as you can as an amateur, because once you turn pro, you start losing 3, 4 fights in a row. Nobody's going to want you even on a regional card. So we always took that jump to pro as we took it serious, and wanted me to have as much experience as I possibly could at the amateur level.
One thing about you is you're such a complete mixed martial artist. I mean, your ability on the ground between the jiu-jitsu and the wrestling is unbelievable. And the striking, I mean, it's so crisp. You have so much power. You're definitely a dual threat. At what point did you really start realizing, hey, if I want to make it to the UFC, if I want to take this to the extent, I got to be as well-rounded as possible?
That was probably real early in my amateur career. Because I would probably say that I've always been a little bit better on the ground, or at least more comfortable on the ground. And I started to face some strikers, and I said, I'm gonna have to start improving my striking a little bit. Now as a pro, I think that it's paid off because I think I'm even on knockouts versus submissions. So I think that I'd like to keep that going, because that kind of shows that I'm well rounded.
Obviously as a pro, I mean, you've been off to an unbelievable start. Got a great 8-1 record here. Guy that I want to talk about a little bit. Your victory over Jacob Kilburn, obviously, a guy in the UFC. A guy's made a name for himself. Picked up a really nasty Darce choke there in the second round. Walk me through that finish.
That was kind of like my first big test as a pro, and I was really blessed that Jacob took that fight with me because he had already been in the UFC and won several fights against guys who were pretty good. And I was just glad that he gave me the opportunity to fight him. I felt like I was in control of the entire fight. I could tell that there was a strength advantage from the start. So I knew that I just needed to keep grinding on him and get him wore down. And then eventually I picked up that submission in the second.
In addition to that, obviously you got to make your appearance on the Dana White Contender Series. Do you remember where you were when you got the phone call that you're going to be fighting on the Contender?
Yeah, I was actually at the house with my wife, and my manager Jason House gave me the call and said, we've got you an opportunity. And he told me it was the Contender Series. I remember being ecstatic, celebrating, and then it was just straight to work for that fight.
You mentioned Jason House, obviously Iridium, so many talent, especially so when you look at the MMA landscape, what Iridium has right now from regional and, MMA prospects is absolutely insane. The Malcolm Wellmakers of the world, the Elijah Smiths of the world, Cartavius Ramuses, Michael Aswells. I mean, we can go on and on and on. Do you think you guys are the future of mixed martial arts?
No, for sure. And it just comes down to the amount of work that Jason and his staff put into it. They're actually going out here and building a connection with these regional professional fighters and getting to build a connection with them before they're in the UFC. And one thing I will say is I've been approached by many different management companies, and not one of the owners of the management companies ever messaged me personally saying, I want you on our team, but Jason House did. And that's what separated all of them, like first round management and all these guys. They get, they get their C-level staff to reach out to you. Jason House, he sent me a message personally and set up a phone call. And I was like, that's somebody that cares about his fighters. They're just not a number to him.
We talked about the Contender Series a minute ago, but obviously it didn't go your way. But what was that experience like? How did you grow from it?
Oh yeah, I learned a ton from that opportunity. I just turned 23 years old, and just got married the month before. And I was just like, so much was on my mind, being so young, and I kind of let the pressure get to me a little bit. And I've noticed, watching Contender Series from this year, you see a lot of younger guys that struggle with the same thing that I struggled with my first fight. You go in there and you just don't look like yourself. It's because it's a lot of pressure, especially for a young man. And but I definitely learned from it, and I look to be a different fighter the next time and go get the contract.
Did you enjoy that atmosphere, fighting in there, very minimal people, no introductions, no music, just straight business? Do you enjoy that?
I'm kind of a showman. I kind of feed off of a crowd a little bit. But honestly, I didn't in the moment. I didn't even tell a difference, to be honest with you. I was just so in the zone that it didn't even cross my mind. But if I had to prefer something, of course, it would be fighting in front of people and getting to hear my walkout music and all that.
Most recently you were supposed to fight again on the Contender Series. You were supposed to fight, take on Alberto Montez. Something happened. I believe you had to pull out that one. You get hurt.
Yeah. I ended up getting a knee injury, and I had to pull out of that fight, and it really sucked. I was looking forward to that. Luckily, I got everything straightened out and was able to fight again shortly thereafter in November. Um, but yeah, that was a pretty big low in my career that I had my second opportunity looking at me in the face, and crap happened. So
What is that experience like? Going from fighting on the Contender Series back to the regional scene. Obviously, Aries is a very respected regional promotion that does a wonderful job. But is it kind of tough, man, to go from the Contender back to the regional scene?
oh yeah, it's let me just put it this way: it's very humbling. Uh, you get up to fighting at the UFC Apex, and then all of a sudden you're back to fighting at a honky tonk bar in Knoxville, Tennessee. It'll humble you real quick. But that's the stuff that you have to do if you want to make it. Especially especially being in a small area like I am. I don't have. There's not an MMA event every single weekend here like there would be in California or Florida. Uh, you got to take what's open to you, and so yeah, it sucks. I ain't gonna lie to you, but I'm lucky to have worked with some shows that run very good regional MMA events.
So many people watch the sport in this day and age. I mean, the sport is so mainstream. There's so many casual fans that watch it. And I feel like, they look at the John Joneses, the Stipe's, the Michael Chandlers, and they're like, wow, being a professional fighter is the greatest thing ever. Little do they know. I mean, we both know, man, fighting on the regional scene is very tough. A lot of the guys are losing money. A lot of guys have to have the 9-to-5 jobs. They're married. They have kids, have to wake up early, train, go to work, train some more, repeat this day in and day out. A lot of people, their parents don't own a gym. They have to pay to train, and then obviously when you do make the UFC, the money gets bigger. But again, it's not what people think this is. You have to really love it. You've been doing this for quite a while, man. You have ambitions to do this for the rest of your career. What's made you want to continue this day in and day out?
Really what it is for me, and this is something that, I put in a lot of thought now that I'm getting a little bit older. This summer I'll be 25, so it's time to start making some stuff happen. But I've put so much work into this, and not only do I owe it to myself for all the work that I put in, but my coaches have put in a lot of time and effort into helping me get this far. I want to do it for, my small town of Withville. We don't have any athletes really. Nobody knows where Withville, Virginia is at. So I'd love to make it happen for, me and my team and my hometown.
What is it like to be able to share this journey with your parents? I mean, is it always good? Is it, sometimes you get a little frustrating, you're stressed out, have your parents dealing with you? Like, is there pros and cons to it?
Oh yeah, there's definitely cons. There's a lot of pros, but there's definitely a few cons. I know that probably more so me than them. I know that I get on their nerves a lot, especially when they tell me I need to keep my weight down and I'm wanting to eat like a pig. So, and it's one of those things, and I've learned to deal with it. Um, we separate our family time versus training time. I know Monday through Thursday at our Monday through Friday at our practices. That's my coach. It's not my dad, or that's my coach. That's not my mom. And when we get together on the weekend or something and we have lunch, then they're my parents. It's a weird kind of relationship, but it's something that we all have gotten used to.
I think one thing that's really different about mixed martial arts now than it was maybe 15, 20 years ago is it's so entertainment driven. The product now is on ESPN. You see it every single week. There's so many other promotions. You're seeing guys now put on straight characters, straight facades, people that they're not. Why? Because they know it's going to sell seats. Know they're going to get title shots. Know that's how they stay on top. For you, you kind of really stick to your own. You're a very humble guy that really embraces who you are. How do you feel mixed martial arts have been impacted by entertainment and personality?
Well, one thing that I've thought about this a lot. When I was a little kid, WWE was like my first love, probably before martial arts even was. I loved me some WWE, and it's because it draws you in. It draws kids and adults into the drama, into the personas, and I think that's where the UFC is trying to go towards. I mean, what Vince McMahon had is a gold mine, and he's learned how to keep people entertained. Gosh, like I said, I'm 25, and I started watching WWE when I was like 5 years old. So that's 20 years, and it's been going on way before me. Um, people love drama, and that's what gets people watching. And I think that that's why you get these people that create their own personas. You know, you've got the good guy versus the heel in about every big matchup that you watch. So, yeah, I think it's just to make money, really, for the fighters, to make money for themselves, and to make money for the UFC.
I think another thing that's evident now is how much of a business mixed martial arts is. And I think from a fighter standpoint, you're making business decisions. And I think it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Where are you training? Who are you training with is a business decision. Furthermore, who are you fighting on the regional scene? What does this opponent do for you? What are you posting on social media? Who are you doing interviews with? Do you guys view this very much as a business?
Oh yeah, you have to, even how you carry yourself outside of competition. Um, and this is somewhere that kind of goes for like not only for my career as a fighter, but I'm looking to take over our martial arts gym here in Withville. So for me, it's all about how I'm carrying myself. I'm not the kind that's going to be flipping birds in the cage and cussing my opponent out. That's just not who I am. I teach at a Christian school Monday through Thursday before I even train. So it's one of those things for me and for my gym that, I got to carry myself in a pleasing manner, to the kids and of course to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
For you, what does it mean to be called a mixed martial artist?
Um, it honestly means everything to me. I tell all of my younger, teenagers at the gym, you can't call yourself a martial artist and train whenever you feel like it. And I also tell them you can't be a martial artist and be disrespectful to your teammates and to your coaches. A lot of it's more than just a sport. It's really is a lifestyle, how you carry yourself, being able to endure the training.
You take a lot of pride in being able to, take MMA, something that's been really good for you, something that's going to allow you to really live out your dreams and, share it with the youth and help them get their start in this.
Oh, 100%. And where I'm from, there's not too much for the youth to do. I remember growing up, like we didn't. I'm from a small little area. Like you either play football or you have to find something else to do. And I want to be that something else for the kids. If football or basketball is not their thing, well, why not try out some jujitsu or some MMA? And I've been blessed to work with hundreds of kids in the community, and I've had a lot of kids become really successful competing in jujitsu and even some like youth expo matches and things. And it's always good to see the kids happy after they win.
There's so many people watching this now, and it's gone so mainstream. And now there's a term that I love to use, and that's called the casual fans. So these are the people that are usually drunk. You can find them at B-dubs, cheap seats of the fight. They love to yell, twist them in the you-know-what. They like to boo, say you like to crotch sniff, all this crazy, outrageous stuff, right? Overall, what are your thoughts on the casual fan? Is this just something, it might be annoying, but it's just something we need for the growth of the sport?
Man, see, this is one thing that I could go on a rant about. When I fought on the Contender Series, I let those guys get to me. I mean, people were talking so much crap about me, that I was training at my mommy and daddy's gym and saying that, you know, oh, he don't deserve to be a black belt, and like these people don't know anything about me, and I let it get to me. I was so focused on what everybody else was saying. I think that as far as young fighters, it really is, if they read into what these drunk guys are saying behind the keyboard before the fights, like it'll get to you. So it's best, like as a fighter, to just ignore all that and don't even look at it, because I truly believe that's kind of what messed me up and messed my head up before that Contender Series fight, is I played right into it.
Do you feel that fighting is more mental than it is physical?
Yeah, I really do. I mean, the training is hard and the fight itself is hard, but we train to do it every single day. You put a lot of pressure on yourself, like mostly outside of your training, going home and thinking about your fight and visualizing your fight or visualizing what you did wrong in training. it keeps you going, 24 hours. So you got to learn how to control that and really, try to find something that's away from fighting for a little bit. Like I love to hunt and fish, and that's kind of my out from thinking about fighting for a couple hours.
You know, I've heard this from other guys who own gyms, whose family owns gym. Obviously, a lot of cool things with going to owning your own gym. Obviously, some headaches as well. How do you guys handle the people who may come in there, maybe try to prove something, being a little over aggressive when coming to sparring, acting like idiots? Is there a protocol at the Ring Sports Academy that you guys use to handle that?
Oh yeah, which we pretty much any new student that we have, I just tell them straight up like, listen, I was the guy when I was 15, 16 years old. I was the guy who wanted to spar hard all the time and see how tough I was, and I was like, I tell them it doesn't do you any good, empty your cup out a little bit and just slow down and learn. Like you don't have to be hitting each other in the head 100% to learn, how to fight. So we have rules on our sparring. We really don't spar too hard. Unless we got guys preparing for a fight, we'll bump up the sparring just a little bit and put on headgears just to get them used to taking a little contact. But for the most part, we only spar about 30% power. We got to keep people safe. We got a lot of guys that work, a 12-hour factory job as soon as they're done training. So we have to keep our members safe.
So you're coming off of a big win over the end of the year. Last year, you got a finish. Now, 8-1 mixed martial artists. What are you eyeing? Obviously, the Contender Series. You won it 2 years ago. Should have been on it last year. Is that something, or do you think you might be able to make the debut before that?
I just say it's all in God's plan. I'm going to stay ready. I'm gonna keep on training. Um, I'm hoping, for either one. I'm hoping for either a short notice call or on Contender Series again. But either one, I'm going to be ready. I've been struggling over Christmas and stuff. I let my weight get up a little bit. But I'm on that now. I'm going back down to 145. I should have never been fighting at 155 pounds for my last fight, but we're getting back on track. I'm going to get back down to fighting 145 and then see what I can do from there.
You feel like 2025 is the year where you really supplement yourself and really let your presence be known to mixed martial arts fans?
Yeah, I think that the last time that I was at the door trying to crack into the UFC, nobody got to see the real me in there. I know a lot of fighters say that, but I truly mean it. Like that wasn't who I am that night. I was so just the moment was too big for me then, but I'm ready for it this next time.
What's your ultimate goal, Robbie, with mixed martial arts?
My ultimate goal is just to get in there and take it as far as I can. I've said it before on interviews and things. I'm not from a big area or from one of these big gyms, but I'm a hard worker, and I've got a lot of drive, and I got a lot of willpower to make it as far as I possibly can, and that could take me all the way to being a UFC champion one day. But I'm just going to keep working hard and see what God has in store for me.
You know what? I don't think all UFC guys realize, when you make it into the UFC, obviously, yeah, you get that status, you get to live out the dream, you get to do the accomplishment, but you have a platform now. You have a platform that you can use in other walks of life, different businesses. For you, what are some things that you feel like you could use that platform for?
I'd love to, build my gym up, Ring Combat Sports, and continue because long after I'm done fighting, I still would like to coach and be involved, helping the next generations of fighters, try to live out their dreams. Another thing that I want to, be a messenger for, of course, is my faith. I'd love there's something about leading somebody to Jesus Christ that just brings me happiness. I know it's not for everybody, but even if I can just lead one or two people, I'm really ecstatic about that.
All right, Robbie, last question for you, my friend. So we're getting into 2025 here just in February. We have a lot of this year still left. In a perfect world, how's 25 play out for you?
I think that a perfect year for me is, getting the UFC and at least get one fight. And I'm thinking that I'll probably have to fight one more regional, maybe for the Contender Series, just to stay busy. That would bring me to 9-1 with a win. If Contender Series called, I need to get a win there. That would bring me to 10-1. I'd love to have a fight in the UFC by the end of 2025. That's kind of a goal of mine.
Awesome, Robbie. Well, hey, man, thank you so much, dude. I've been wanting to talk to you for such a long time. I wish you nothing but the best. I see the Contender Series. I see UFC. I see something big in your future, man. I know it's coming, and I wish you nothing but the best, brother.
All right, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. That's it for us tonight. I'm Carlo Prusa. It's Mr. Robbie RIng. Take it easy, fight fans.